What's going on, guys? It is Straw Hat Brian. I'm here back again here to deliver my Boku no Hero Academia chapter 156 and 157 review for you guys. If you haven't read it yet, I suggest you do so now. Spoilers will be lurking in the video ahead. If anything left to say, we're going to get into this two chapter reviews. So, chapter starts off. We get the backstory on what happened and how Uravati and Nejire and Froppy end up where Deku's location was. So they're on the surface and they're fighting these other two overhaul 8 precepts, you know, grunts or whatever, basically the fodder, weaklings, you know, the disposable people. So background characters, you can even call them that. So anyway, they're fighting them. They're unimportant characters, secondary characters. So fighting them, and the one guy, they end up subduing him. His name is Rurikia Katsume. So he has the ability to steal others' vitality. So no matter who you are, as long as he's able to touch you, he can steal your vitality, regardless. So Uravati and Froppy, they were having a hard time dealing with him, but Nejire came in and she dealt with him like with the ease. And he was unconscious for the moment, but then once they started walking away and started focusing on going into where Deku and them, or proceeding to where Deku and Lemillion went down into the 8 Precepts hideout, you know, they said Rurikia ends up actually, well, the cops are inspecting him and they're like, oh, you know, I thought he had, oh, he has like the, you know, ability to, he has the ability to steal people's vitality. It's like, lucky for us, basically. They're like, lucky for us, he's unconscious. So what happens is he's actually starting to gain his conscience back, and the drug that he took from Iranaka starts to kick in. So Iranaka gave all the other 8 precepts the drug, the booster drug that allows them to boost their quirks to its fullest potential. So basically all the drug does is, if these members who actually have these abilities, if they train their quirk, they would probably unlock these abilities. They would probably be able to use their abilities in this format. However, because they lack that discipline, that training, they take the drugs, and the drugs thus forces their abilities to get that far. But after the drug wears off, they basically won't be able to reach that pinnacle again. So at that point, he's able to just sniff away your vitality. And then he breaks out from his restraints, and he starts going at it with the cops. And then he starts fighting Uravati, Nejire, and Froppy again. So Deku, which isn't Deku, it's basically Toga disguised Deku, because I knew this was kind of weird. I'm like, wait, how is Deku in 2 places at the same time? But I remember Toga's ability, she's able to imitate those whose saliva she's tasted, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, you can correct me on that in the comments below. Because I know she has like some kind of gross ability or something that allows her to imitate people. Like she can change. She's like a Mystique, but just a gross Mystique. So she tells Uravati, like, you know, oh, like, you know, we got to go down to help Lemillion and them down, you know, down that hole over there. So, or not down that hole, but below the surface. So, you know, Uravati's like, you know, thinking, she's like, okay, we got to take down this guy. So they're fighting the guy. And then they get him in a position where Uravati has him levitated, Froppy has him restrained, and then Nejire is on, like, in the sky and basically shoots her quirk. And her quirk, she has the ability to transmit her vitality into shockwaves, or she's able to turn it into just energy, just pure energy. But because of the way it is, they just come out in a funny shape. So they come out like Ermac from Mortal Kombat, like how he shoots his little energy blast, and they do like this like squiggly line, but except hers is like a circular squiggly line. I don't know how to really describe it. But anyway, that's besides the point. So You know, they do that, and then that combo attack, which was amazing, and the way that it was illustrated, I can't wait to see that get animated. After that attack, they ended up, you know, Gravity says something cool, like the reason why we go so hard every day, because day in, day out, we're told to go plus ultra. So caves in, you know, the surface, and they're underground now, where Deku, and it shows them crash in where Deku and Overhaul is, and then Uravity's thinking to herself, like, wait, what the, how is Deku here when I just saw him up there? So, you know, like, that was great. That was great. I love that the author, like, immediately got us to not just like, oh, I'm just going to add this detail in and I'm going to reveal what happened next chapter. It's like, now he answered that same question in the chapter for anybody who probably didn't know that Toga had imitating abilities or forgot that, and they're just like, oh yeah, the League of Villains is still, they're still in the game. So so the villains, we found out the villains, that their plot for doing all of this, their plot is to actually steal Ares. So they kind of basically like dug a hole to kind of make it, how would you say, they did it to make it easy for them to get, for Gravity to get directly to Deku and Overhaul, thus giving them a direct path to go in and steal Aerie. So they made it hollow. There you go. They made the beneath the surface hollow enough for Gravity and them to go that hard, and made it look cool. So from that, you know, Chisaki, because he sees that, okay, there's this big old hole in the ceiling now, like, I'm going to use this to escape. So he uses this opportunity and tries to escape. And then in that moment, we get a slight backstory on Eddie. Eddie, we find out she obliterated her father, and her mother called her cursed. So ever since she was a newborn baby, she's been said to have had a cursed existence. Her quirk, we've actually found out, there's nothing wrong with her quirk. She's not a monster. She's not cursed. She just has a genetic mutation. As with many things in real life, you know, that's how new diseases, that's how new syndromes and all that come about. And that's how new anything, new hair colors and eye colors, because of a genetic mutation that occurs in someone's DNA. So I thought that was amazing. I thought that was really cool. I love that we actually get the idea of what it is, that we get closer to the idea of what it is that Ares' quirk can really do. And I do compare it to a character from Bleach. Her name is Orihime. She can basically rewind anything, like make it as if nothing, like it never happened. So if you have an injury, let's say your arm gets cut off, she can rewind your arm to the point where it never got cut off. So that's what it's hinting at. It's closer and closer to what Ares' ability are. It's like she's able to rewind humans. To what extent? We find out later. So after, you know, we get past the backstory and we find out she's been experimented on, and that they made like little incisions in her body to see if, I'm guessing, like to see if like she could heal herself and like rewind those incisions and all that, like, and lacerations. So it shifts back to the main focal point of the story, and Eddie, as she clings to the hope and reminisces on everything that Lemillion did and said to her, and seeing Deku fighting for her, she clings on and she reaches out for that hope. And in that moment, her powers awaken. And so she is reaching for Deku. And that's how chapter 156 ends. And then 157, when it opens, it begins with Deku. He retrieves Eri and he breaks, you know, he ends up actually escaping Chisaki. Chisaki tries to prevent him. And he actually ends up breaking back through the surface, like through the ceiling up to the surface, but he's so far up. He's like, oh my God, like what just happened? He just realized that because he got so rattled with emotions, he went 0 to 100 real quick. Like my man's went at least 500 feet in the air, maybe 1,000, you know what I mean? Feet in the air, possibly meters. Like my man's skyrocketed, like from underground all the way up into the sky. Um, and we find out though, you know, as Chisaki tries to catch up and he tries to catch up to Deku, we find out that Chisaki didn't tell Eri any of her abilities. He didn't want her to understand what it is her abilities are. He didn't want her to practice. He just basically vaguely had her do all of these things and manipulated her in a way so that he could only benefit from using her abilities, where she would always be useless, helpless, and all that. He's just basically trying to taint her and control her and keep her by his side. Through all this, Gravity and Froppy, they're seeing things going down. They're thinking like, we gotta help. Night Eye is basically telling them like, whatever you're gonna do is not gonna help at all. I've already foreseen the future. And then he's also has that double standard where he's like, no, but I want that future to change because Deku says he will twist the hands of fate. So he asks Gravity and Froppy to help him to the surface. I don't want to see Night Eye sacrifice himself any more than he already has, simply because what is going to gain from if he dies? Like, okay, you gave your life for Lemillion and whatever. Like, Lemillion still lost his powers. So if you're going to have Lemillion lose his powers, Sensei dies, and then who knows, maybe Chisaki might get away with Eri at the end of the story, or the League of Villains get away with Eri. Like, that's going to be 3 negatives in one arc. And yeah, that's great and all, but then, like, the redemption cycle is going to have to be tremendous. Like, if he's going to put all these, like, odds against the heroes, and it's like, come on, like, then when the heroes win, like, this W better be worth it, because I still feel like the All Might versus Sensei battle, that W wasn't really that much of a W. It was a W on All Might's part, but really it didn't really benefit anybody else. Like, they got Sensei out of the way, but it just caused a catalyst for more events to take place afterwards. So hey, that's just my feeling on that. If that's where the author might be leading that to, is for Night Eye to sacrifice himself. I don't really want that, though. I don't really want that. And I feel like a lot of these characters just got introduced pretty early. So it's like, it would be sad to see these guys go just as quickly as they came into the story, you know? Onward, Deku feels like immense pain once he lets Eri go, but then he realizes this is just Eri's quirk going on. So where she was able to, at first she was healing him at the time when he jumped. Now he's feeling immense pain because she's like basically rewinding him. And he's like, oh my God. But then once he talks to her, and then he says, you know, she healed his broken leg like when he jumped the first time, and then said, you know, her quirk is a gentle quirk. She's like, okay, like, I think I know what I have to do. So then she focuses in, she latches on to Deku, and then Chisaki reveals to Deku, like, you know, like, this is her ability. She can revert humans, and her only place is to belong by my side. Like, with anyone else, she's worthless or she's too dangerous. So he says only I can stop her. Deku's like, I'm not having that. So she's also like, I'm not having that either. She clings on to Deku, and then Deku puts on 100% one for all. And we're about to get Deku 100% one for all, including Eri company. And it's going to be amazing. I can't wait to see how this ends. This is my review of Boku no Hero Academia, chapter 156 and 57. I hope you guys liked it. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hit me up in the comment section down below. I'll be lurking in the comment section too. Leave me all your theories and ideas, and just let me know what other videos you would like me to cover and or make. Anything anime related, any other mangas, popular mangas, I'm all for it, man. And I'm gonna rate this chapter, these 2 chapters. I'm gonna probably rate 156, maybe a 2.5 out of 5, and I think I'm gonna also rate 157, a 2.5 out of 5, only because they both were kind of setting up for the greater picture. It wasn't really too much going on. I want to see more Deku. That's how I feel. Anyway, signing out, guys. Have a wonderful day.